This morning, my wife stormed out of the house. I figured the rain was wearing on her. Maybe she didn't approve of my creative way of dealing with the leaks. On her way to run some errands, she demanded, "Get a new roof or I'm moving out." I thought about it. I decided I better cancel my plans for the week. Trying to contain my enthusiasm, I went out to shop for a new roof. Like most people, I had lived for this day. How the heck do you shop for a new roof? Take it for a test drive like a car? Try it on like a new coat? I knew I wouldn't find any guarantees, like, if not completely satisfied, simply return within 30 days for a full refund. And then I remembered something. That piece I wrote for a magazine on California's natural disasters. How did I wax poetic? Our state's 4 seasons: drought, quake, fire, and flood. Well, it gave me an idea. So I packed and left my wife a note. And then I jumped in my van and I began a personal quest, a quick tour of areas hit by natural disasters. I wanted to interview people whose roofs had undergone the most severe test imaginable. I wanted peace of mind above my head. I wanted to write a real story, a story about the search for a better roof. I wanted to know what roofing material and brand name could allow a guy to sleep soundly through firestorms, a California quake, a Texas tornado, hailstorms, 100-knot wind in Florida. I had to find out. I had to know, and I had to have the answers before my wife left me for good. The first stop, Northridge, California, home of the most devastating earthquake in recent history. It wasn't the big one, but don't tell that to the people like Gwen Trelly, whose area was hardest hit on that January morning of 1994.
This neighborhood took a real big hit. The parking structure from Cal State Northridge that collapsed, that was on the news, is just down the street, a couple hundred yards. So a lot of the houses were badly damaged. Some have been totally taken down and started from the ground. And some people have moved out. So this neighborhood was quite badly hit. I have 2 fireplaces. They both came down. And the structure of the house was basically pretty sound. And I think a lot of that is because it was a lightweight roof, too.
Turns out Gwen had invested in a new roof shortly before the Northridge quake. I checked it out. It looked nice, real nice. I asked her what it was made of, and it looked like tile, but was it?
Well, I had looked at several different types, and I actually had settled on tile. But I was real bothered by the weight, because we do live in earthquake country, and we have had earthquakes, and I just kind of made me nervous, all this, whatever it was, 5.5 pounds per square foot. But when I found a roofer who sat down and really wasn't pushing one type, he laid out all the various types and their advantages and disadvantages. And then I felt that I could make the decision. It paid for itself, I would say, in about 40 seconds in January.
To my surprise, I found out that Mrs. Trelly's roof was made of lightweight stone-coated steel. I'd never heard of a steel roof. I got used to the idea real fast when she went on to describe how much damage tile roofs can do because of their weight.
Now that I've seen what heavy roofs have done to some people's homes, I'm real happy because I didn't have to have new beams in the attic. Some people had walls rip apart from all the slamming of the tiles, and I didn't have any of that.
Ben Schwacke, also a Northridge resident, was one of those less fortunate. He and his wife were owners of a heavy concrete roof when the quake hit.
When I purchased the house, there were 3 concrete tiles in the garage left by the builder. And the weight of those tiles compared to the weight of a Girard metal panel was definitely a deciding factor. I don't think that a concrete roof has any place in an earthquake, where a metal panel, which is 15% of the weight of a concrete tile, is definitely the way to go.
I made some notes. Roof does look nice and weighs much less, only 1.5 pounds per square foot. My trip had just begun, but I knew enough about roofs to be certain of one thing. I wanted one over my head, not one crashing down on top of me. I wanted to hear more on the subject of weight in a roof. I ran over to Whittier, site of the so-called Whittier Narrows quake. I visited James Burr, a structural engineer.
But if you have a very heavy roof on the building, chances are the conventional framing requirements will not suffice. You'll have to have some more reinforcement in order to accommodate the heavier roof. It's a distinct advantage to have a lighter weight roof when re-roofing, because the roof structure can accommodate the weight of the lighter materials. It will have nil effect in terms of an earthquake force. Assuming your building has experienced earthquakes before, you'll be better off to have a lighter weight roof material.
I scratched concrete off my list of options and continued north to Oakland. Sure, these steel roofs might be great in an earthquake, but what about in case of fire, a homeowner's greatest fear? Earthquakes are regional, okay? Fires can happen any place there's something to burn. I checked out news footage of the Oakland blaze in October of '91. It damaged or destroyed more than 3,400 homes. I met Art and Blanche D. Spiganovich. It seemed certain that they'd lose their home when fire raced through their neighborhood.
I had been up to the top of the hill up here to look over the landscape, and I could see the smoke and fire on the other hill, and I thought, well, it's not coming here, but it could. And sure enough, pretty soon the couple of police cops' motorcycle came up the road and said, "Out, get out." When I first saw us going up in flames, I was just numb. I stayed away. I didn't want to look at it.
He didn't want to go because he just didn't want to see the damage. But we saw it, and he said, "Come on, keep coming." He says, "Look, Mom, it's a miracle." But the house was there.
I made a note. A miracle, indeed.
One across the road there had a new shake roof. She said that, "Oh, no, you don't need a steel roof. The shakes are good. They can be treated, and that'll take care of everything." Well, her house went up just as fast as anybody else's, but not ours.
I thought a lot as I drove to San Diego, my next stop. What a miracle that was for that Oakland couple. And then I thought about the opposite scenario. What if a fire started inside a home with one of these stone-coated steel roofs? How far would it get? Keith Berman, who lives in a condo townhome, gave me the answer.
According to what I heard from the neighbors and from the fire marshal, the side of my building went up in flames about 20 minutes after I left, due to an ember that had lodged itself between the fireplace and the firebox, and that it had smoldered all night, and it just sparked off the following morning and went up in flames and took out most of the wall in my living room. This is my first time I've ever had a fire or any major catastrophe, and I truly believe that a lot of my stuff was saved by that roof. I didn't even know that they were metal until I saw one sitting out here the day after the fire. And I went out to inspect it, and I realized that it was coated with rock and that they were metal. I had no idea. What I was told later was that they were actually put on over the existing shingles. You hear about fires jumping all the time, and there was nothing for it to jump to. It would have landed on metal and stone. Look at what has happened in my home. Had we had the old roofs on, that fire would have jumped. It would have gone from my unit to that unit to that unit and on down the canyon and possibly even farther up the canyon. These Girard roofs kept it contained in my roof and kept it contained in a small area of my roof. I don't know exactly what the decision was to go with Girard initially, but whoever made the decision, I think, made a wise decision.